Twice Yearly Prep is here. One office visit every 6 months, 2 times a year for HIV.
I've taken it down.
Yo. Okay, cool. So, like I was saying before, um, for those who are unfamiliar with Justin Hunt, aka the Company Man's Culture United live channel. This is where they have curated rap discourse discussions about um, famous and I guess you could say rather infamous things about rap culture, hip hop culture, um, things that go on in media, at least the bigger events. They might dive into additional topics that come around and surround that, but this is what they do. And so you have the pleasure of joining me for part two. And part two is just really going to be about what I was going to continue on before. I already gave my opinion about BK, uh, Charles, Jarv, L. I would say Stat too, but for sure the company man, Justin Hunt. So there's that. Let's go ahead and continue and see if where the discourse is going to go because I'm still carrying the same energy.
You wouldn't have taken it down. You took it down because there were some other things at play that Justin, me and him talk about all the time that we're not going to say on here that you didn't want to get to surface because information is what wins these battles, not lyrics. And if your house ain't clean, not saying this house, I'm just saying if there's something for someone to throw out there about your crib, that's when you start shaking in your boots with a battle. I don't believe for 1 second that wifey was crying and all. It was some other stuff going on behind the scenes that you're not talking about, and I'm not mad at you for not talking about it because that's why you didn't get in that battle. So if we're gonna leave that alone and go on from that, glad my camera not working.
Okay, so already from the jump, just that whole 10 to 15 minute spill about Cole got more skeletons in his closet. Stat did not believe me. What he's talking about. They said on the Diverse podcast that they feature now. I think it's been like, something they've done at the beginning of the year. Probably started last year even. Um, Pretty much I just Stat really believe that Cole must be shaking in his boots. It wasn't about his what. It wasn't about him trying to be the better man. It wasn't about him even trying to keep it friendly, the friendly fade, the myth of the friendly fade. That's that's nah. He totally gets that. Uh, there there's no higher morale ground in a rap battle, but then again, let's also remember the fact that a lot of what J. Cole does outside of this particular battle and outside of how he handles, the call responses, the many responses that he does get, and the fact how he chooses to engage in them, let's remember the actual history of how he engages with any discourse or anything that deals with directly with something that he responds to, taken out of context in the form of a diss. So the fact that Stat is going at this angle as if Cole is obligated to excuse himself because his demons are so deep and wicked, he can't handle the truth, basically, is why he didn't go against Kendrick and stand up for his boy Aubrey, Drake. So already that's an angle that he's going to try to do. And I already know, for better or worse, that holds the stance that blames Cole more than it blames Drake for everything else that's happened. And this is going to be a recurring theme that you're going to probably see in this specific Culture United. You know, just kind of stating the obvious here because a lot of this is focused on how Cole decides to engage with Val. His perspective, even though whether that is right, wrong, or indifferent, the judgment's already been cast. Nobody can change that. He didn't, again, I'm going to say this again if you guys didn't watch the last one, that if he had not even responded the way he did, the apology, whatnot, the narratives would still exist. He does not control the narrative. Drake does not control his narrative. Kendrick does not control his narrative, right? None of these rappers actively control their narratives. These are what the fans do. These are what, you know, whether you're a fan or you're a detractor or whatnot, this is something that the artists don't control. And as you see on the live chat here where I have pause, you got JP576, Cole's a villain and a bad one at that. I mean, but I love people. People like to be hyperbolic, so I'm not too mad at that. But yeah, in general, I already know where Stats Angle is going to be. Bringing up things about Cole that makes him look even less favorable than Drake, and even at that, even if you go back and bring up the whole industry politics, this is what Stat kind of specializes in because he's the industry insider. He works with he works with like featured artists and record deals and stuff like that, and so does Jarv. So between the gentlemen you see on the top right and the bottom right, you're gonna see a lot of overlap, and it's going to get to a point to where they're actually going to try to um, collaborate on their stances, intermingle their words, they're probably gonna brush off the smaller details of it, you know, because again, everybody's gonna be engaged, and this is gonna be a thing that's gonna be mostly between these two gentlemen. Again, at the top right and the bottom right, you're gonna see a lot in this conversation. So let's continue.
These secrets.
Plausible deniability. All this AI, it could be anybody. We don't even really know.
It's not even me. It's not me, J. Cole. I love you. I still do, but you know what's going on. You're lying.
Say hello to Zero, the easiest way to stop worrying about cash flow. Spend less time balancing and more time building. It's powerful enough for your accountant, simple enough for you. Try Zero today.
In 1926, a student's final plea echoed across the University of Arizona.
1 second applause.
Oh, one more thing I'd like to touch on. Stat says that in rap battles, information wins, not lyrics. Okay, let's take that angle then. Let's see where it goes. Because if information wins and not lyrics, then what's the point of there being friendly competition in battle? Because at that point, it seemed like there isn't. Is he talking about a rap beef? I sincerely hope he is, because if everything was taken literally as beyond just being the dozens, then what's the point of them of people engaging in in such a, I guess a rap battle if the information is true. But I got old girl or somebody said at least in the last lie that a lot of it is creating narratives. A lot of it is 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 literally playing the dust. It's already, you know, making jokes. It's just a joke, bro. Yeah, okay, you saw how that goes. Like literally, making, satirical, crude jokes, disparaging remarks about a other rapper's narrative, that things that may be true or whatnot, that you want to convince the audience that it is, it's plausible. It's you're seeking the entertainment value behind it. You want the shock, you want the suspense, you want the drills, you want to feel um that this is scathing. You know, are you not entertained, basically? So we already have a, oh, how do I phrase this? We already have a great misunderstanding of what that battle was from Drake's own, boy right here stat. Because if that's the case, then Drake, if Drake understood this and Kendrick surely did understood this side of it, then yeah, that was a rap beef. That's not just your typical rap battle. That just doesn't happen out the blue, even if you're between friends. So already we're starting to conflate two different things. Let's continue.
I mean, I mean, you raised a good point there, Stat. Like, there's a lot of questions. I think we're all in the same cipher when it comes to the way these interviews are playing out so far. Because I got a bunch of questions I would love to ask. I legitimately want to know what, from Cole's point of view, the thought process was with first person shooter. Did he think he was going to be able to say those things and not have Kendrick, his brother, he talks about him, he loves him so much, did he not think that Kendrick was going to take any of that personally? Yeah, I would love to hear his answer to that. You know what I mean? I would love someone to ask him if someone actually came up to him at Dreamville. That'd be amazing. Can we get confirmation that actually happened, or is that just a thing that people are still talking about? I would love to know, like, even stuff from the standpoint of the fall off, right? In that Cameron interview, he says this battle inspired him again. Well, why are you still marketing the fall off like you're retiring? Why are you still?
Okay, I'm sorry, but no, we're not gonna do that. Justin has a habit of, okay, let me rephrase this. Justin has a a thing he does specifically when it comes to you know inserting his own journalistic scratch, his own itch for capitalizing on things that are not confirmed, things that he wants to know the answers to, things that he actively wants there to for these artists to kind of expose these big stories about themselves, like you know in order, but unless you're there, unless you have good rapport with the artist, unless you actively have some means of connection that that's obviously not the culture united, then why would you have that type of expectation for for J. Cole? I mean, and that's just me asking a question in general. You know, this is kind of the nasty thing that I was talking about when it comes to Justin Hunt. Like, he masks that as him just, you know, this being part of journalism, him just being, and that's why, a good journalist and asking the tough questions and stuff like that. But really, yeah, that's nah, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Only because of the fact that the reason why he even poses that and challenges those questions the way he does is because of the fact that he wants there to be more to the story in order to validate whether or not he's right or wrong. That's and he's literally acting on confirmation bias to that point. Yeah, and for those who don't even know confirmation bias is, I'm not going to insult intelligence and give you the full definition, but just keep in mind that this is going to be little things here and there that you're going to occasionally pick up, because already we're seeing that okay, J Cole um should have had a better answer prepared for somebody like Justin Hunt to give him that the answer he wants. Give him some answer, give him enough of an answer that he can work with. Ladies and gentlemen, this is journalism in 2026 online.
Doing that. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot here that I haven't heard anyone ask yet, but all of this is still really fascinating to me. You know what I mean? Open floor for this next question. Do you think that Cole, when he made first person shooter, knew what he was doing or expected Kendrick to respond the way he did, just from a peripheral standpoint?
He had to know. This is my thing. He's telling the story in a vacuum. He's acting like, whoa, Kendrick came out of nowhere. He's not talking about him always talking about how I don't care who it is, stand him in front of me, I'll end you. I'm
Okay, let me get this straight, right? So now, because I said in the last stream that J. Cole shares the same internet that every dude, that he wasn't oblivious to a lot of the stuff that was happening around his name, and certain narratives that got painted and things that he knew that he couldn't address outwardly or in public and stuff like that. In regards to the rap battle, that's why he stayed away. He stayed away for at least the 2 years that he did do. And here we have somebody like BK, right? Now, granted, it's a fair question. You know, it's a fair assumption that does not either prove or deny whether or not J. Cole um, really should have known. If that's your stance, if that's what we're going for, okay, fair. If that's the assumption that you want to move it, fair. But we're not about to act like you know J. Cole is just as this ignorant rapper, this rapper that doesn't have any idea of how of his own bars, his history of his bars, or anything of that sort. We're not gonna act like J. Cole doesn't have a history of responses and actions that follow each response. We're not going to say, for instance, let's say the no name situation, right? He could have engaged more if I'm honest. He could have done the back and forth, but no, he decided to engage on Twitter, which was okay and a mistake in itself. He's realized that he course corrected, which okay, and since then he's before that time frame, he did, he did organize. He did join Black Lives Matter and back in his hometown of Fayetteville, for and created the Dream Foundation, the Dreamville Foundation. Are also around that time frame too. It had to be like um, around 4 year eyes only, I believe, was when they started getting more active into a lot of the GMOs. But even from that, right, what we have here, because if J. Cole really was about, keep, being the big, like being this, this big hippity hop rapper that, that likes to spar people on wax and battle at every chance he gets, then that would defeat the purpose of there actually being any real chance for action beyond wax. Things that he decides to get active in, such as the Greenville Foundation, going to public schools, making guest appearances, and etc. Doing this, doing the basketball thing, and even doing like these little small interviews that doesn't have anything to do with his raps. That's outside of him rapping on wax. So we already have, again, BK here, posturing. Posturing, when I mean posturing, I mean setting up a response in the way that gives a definitive answer that this must be true, that there that there is only one way you can interpret this based on what the information is present. Looking at the materials, as her username or her handle would say. Because if J. Cole, if you find it that J. Cole, it was impossible for J. Cole not to then eh, to do a track with Drake, and then not see it in any way, shape, or form, a friendly fade, a friendly competition, a spar, something that's been done dozens of times in rap, and then look back on first person shooter and like that, and not for 1 second think, oh, wait, these all dudes, they all got beef with each other. Then yes, I can understand, unfortunately understand why she, as as an outsider looking in, does not care about that reason. She really doesn't, despite how she's trying to make it seem. Because if that were the case, then she would have solved it also on the other end, which I'm hoping she did get to, because there's always two different sides of the same story. Both things can be true at once. So we'll see what happens.
I'm the Muhammad Ali of the big three. Whenever this man may control, whenever this man, like, the profession in which you're in. Like, if you say that you're the best, someone's gonna.
Here we go. See, I already knew. Yes, braggadocio, bars, hip hop, bars, nigga, rap, right? Come on, come on. So already she's taken an approach to where, okay, if J. Cole had not done all his raps before, then he wouldn't have been a problem. But that is what you do when you rap. You can't just separate it. So the fact that she's even willing to make that, to put that in the context of him not knowing hip hop, him not knowing that, or forgetting that he's a rapper is freaking ludicrous to me. But okay, I'm gonna let her continue.
Come and say, well, prove it. You know this. As a student of the game, as someone, who claims to be a steward of the genre as well, You know this. And so it felt like, oh my God, shit just got so, divisive and it was politics. It's like, okay, well, if Kendrick was a Democrat and Drake was a Republican, you're a fucking centrist, bro. You're a fence center. You're clearly lying. We're hearing some like background information about this stuff, and it's permeating through. And I just felt like him acting like so naive and so clueless and so like that anything he did or said couldn't be seen in a certain way. They shot like a massive video for a first person shooter, and it was all these 2-player games, yet you're talking about the big three and you being the top of that shit. Like, of course you knew that. So him telling it in a vacuum like that and not having pushback, like to Elle's earlier point, it's kind of this aspect of like access journalism. It's like, well, if I push them beyond the vetted questions, am I going to be in this room again? Which sucks. And I feel like neuters journalism because like we don't get real answers to these, questions. Like, to your point, Justin, like you want to ask, okay, did Q or whoever really pull you to the side and say something? He already pre-answered that question by saying, it came to me from the heavens an hour before I went on the Dreamville stage. I don't believe that. And that he felt super relieved. He told Nadestica that he felt super relieved and didn't care what anyone else had to say when he did that. What? Like you're being manipulative, and there's not. It just makes me feel.
Wait a minute. Ding 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 ding. Because Charles Brown, did he not say it this live? The word manipulative. Excuse me, manipulative, right? So now, not only is Cole performative, but now, newsflash, they also want you to know that he is manipulative, that that he's always is trying to, get one over, that he that he wants to do all these grand things, these diabolical, chess moves, these things that doesn't hold him accountable. And ladies and gentlemen, this is what a parasocial looks like. Because even with and especially she is pretty intelligent. I'll give her that. But the fact that she's willing even to push it further into saying that, okay, look at the video that you do for first person shooter. Well, what was all the 2-player games about? Why are you bringing up the big three? Why are you bringing up this, that, and the nerd about you being the Muhammad Ali of the big three? It's rap. It is hip hop. Who wouldn't, in their right mind, if they considered the lyricists on a track like first person shooter, remove Cole from this conversation, right? Just bear with me. If we can put Tyler the Creator, if we can put Joey Badass, if we can put Freddie Gibbs, if we can insert any rapper within that same era that decided to jump on a track and and Kendrick was supposed to be featured on it one way or another, knowing all their accolades and stuff like that, then yeah, Kendrick wouldn't care. At least Kendrick would keep it a friendly fade. Or would he? And this is me keeping it honest. Would drop it down below, comments, or reply back to this when you get a chance. Would have Kendrick kept it a friendly fade if Drake would have substituted somebody else in that in that song? Because honestly, if this is the perspective that BK is having on this, and to think that, okay, to 2-player games, stuff like that, of course Drake is taking shots at Kendrick, but insert artists, you know, that decided to join in, who wanted to be a part of the video, who actually had no issue what was going on between them. You know, probably did some subs, stuff like that. Just imagine having somebody like a BK take that entire context and said, "You knew, you should have done better. You could have done something. You know, you should have just rapped." Um, are we at the point to where if a rapper, a rapper who considers himself a lyricist, or a rapper who actually has a bravado and actually has, the desire to be the best, which is, I'm sorry, a majority of rappers aren't supposed to. So already it's already taken a personality that is not just about rap. Even though this is a hip hop conversation. Let's continue.
Like, and then also to make fans and enjoyers feel like dirty or something for participating. It's like, yo, it's beef. We're battling. Like, I'm gonna ride for my guy. Like, I grew up, a lot of my formative years are listening to Dot. Like, this thing has been brewing. This lore has been building up. This didn't just come out of fucking nowhere. So I don't appreciate him acting like that. And also, like I always say, so much good came out of the beef, in my opinion. Like, yeah.
Bullshit. And you're gonna probably see me disagree with BK quite a lot here. So much good came out the beef. Um, okay, you gotta let's go down that list. Um, you got a lot of new content creators that surely are still to this day benefiting from the monetization of Speaking About 2024, the interviews around it, and the rap discourse. Yet showing they know very little to, at least speaking from the ones I've watched, outside of maybe a handful of channels, even at least the newer channels since 2024. Nah, nah. I'm sorry, and I'm gonna speak outside my opinion here, because what people have capitalized off of when it came to the big battle of 2024 is the fact that we had people actively, you, you know, claiming their side, like beyond it just being about those two rappers. Now you got people, that literally wanted, to speak on the news surrounding things outside the beef, things that just happen to have a Drake timeline, or a Aubrey Graham tag, or Aubrey Graham news, or people that happen to be associated with Aubrey Graham, the things that happen with the people that Aubrey Graham was associated with, or let's take with the flip side, the things that happen to be associated with people around Kendrick, or the things that people happen to be associated with the people around J. Cole. So already you have these additional narratives that are going on that none of these artists can control, right? And this is supposed to be a good thing for hip hop just naturally, because at least it gets conversation going. Like, it's entertainment, nobody can say anything about entertainment. We're all about part of the capitalist system. We're all a part of America, right? We all, we're all part of the byproduct of this digital era, this digital economy. But now you look back at something like this and say, um, that's part of the list. Another thing I would probably go down the list for, um, the fact that you were willing to have so many people ride in support regardless of things being true or not, of any artist. And I'll admit, J. Cole has, they're very few and far between, but so, some parasocials out there that, for better words or less, I would say, that don't realize that, again, being parasocial, being very, hysterical about, defending J. Cole and everything, right? But it comes as a result of the additional narratives that other people are building, not from the artist. So already you can see those two things are one and the same. So the dirty being on list, the culture. The culture as I know it has work to do. I don't care what side you're on. I don't care how you want to speak about the culture and say that you're part of a culture united, or say that you're having conversations for the culture, or saying you're part of a cookout, hint, cookout, really, and then celebrate a decision on the lawsuit that was going to be anti hip hop to begin with, from a guy that literally, if the shoe fit on the other side of the hand, as far as about farming stuff like that goes, it's it's not unreasonable. I'm sorry, bots exist. Botting was a substantial part, aside from what Drake was trying to claim for the UMC lawsuit, for you know for what his claim was, specifically when it came back to Not Like Us being botted, and even going back before that. No, it's a claim that, a lot of people could actually make. I mean, sorry, yeah, J. Cole said it, and he wasn't entirely wrong about it. You may hate it coming from him because it sounds like an excuse, but that's that's still part of it is true. And I'm thinking people are forgetting that. I don't give a fuck what side you're on. Like, I mean, are we just so disconnected? And this is all in respect to what BK is saying. Because if this is all true for for Cole being this this master manipulator, this perpetually gaslighter, this crazy, um I wouldn't even say crazy because look at what's happened, right? But this very sneaky, slimy snake of a personality. But then you look back at the course of things that he's done for other people that he's had conflicts with, things that he's learned from those conflicts, things that, for better or worse, he's learned to just live with. Saying somebody like that has no morality, has has no stance, has no conscience about the actions they do to after they're done. You know, you may not trust them, you may not believe them, but let's not do that. The fact that she's saying that, okay, now we have, a J. Cole who really didn't want the friendly spar at all. He just wanted to get away with saying that he's the best, even though he didn't do a rap battle. Now I'm gonna let you. Now I'm gonna let that sit and ponder. I'm gonna return back to that question because that's going to be a reoccurring thing that I'm going to see in this conversation. Because J. Cole, at least when it comes to the Culture United, always seems to be getting away with so many things. So many things.
Yes, we could talk about stands and negativity and shit, but to act like that's the total sum of this is really disingenuous to me. Like us meeting, like my favorite writers, my new favorite writers, creators, like all the music we got, all the lore, all the history, like, sneaking.
Before I let it continue, I'm sorry, but none of this shit, excuse my language, outside of 2024, it would have been great for those creators, those people that benefited, those people that had something that they wanted to talk about and create content based off of, and hit the algorithm. It's good for them to benefit from. But for the greater world of hip hop, for people that would have dropped regardless, from projects that would have came out regardless, that had nothing to do with the beef, for people outside of the scope of a big three, people who aren't even considered the top 10 or top 25 of Billboard, and I still am doing a disjustice or an injustice to a lot of artists here. Their products mean nothing without a Kendrick versus Drake beef. That's what kind of pisses me off. That right there. Check back on my video for the videos I went reviewing back of how 2025 went specifically. That had nothing to do with a Kendrick, a J. Cole, or a Drake. I'm sorry. Oh, look at all these wonderful writers and these wonderful things that happened because of a Kendrick versus Drake beef happened. These, my best songs came from this. Hip hop lived in this one moment. Hip hop is only really that one moment was what mattered and that made the cultural shift. The shift. Nope. I'm sorry. To me, it sounds like a grift. I'm gonna keep it a stack.
To the bathroom at work to listen to the shit because he dropped it on a Tuesday in the middle of the day. Like, that was exciting. And so, I don't know. He's acting like his hands are clean in this. Like
You don't know. Nobody's hands is clean. I don't know. This distinct narrative needs to be dropped. The only people that really think J. Cole is a saint and beyond critique and beyond, is pretty much an angel and everything are those parasocial folks who aren't here for hip hop. Unfortunately, I'm not one of them. So that needs to die.
he didn't sneak this, like he didn't sub, like he didn't put out first person shooter, like, speaking in this vacuum. And I don't appreciate him acting like we're fucking idiots or evil for like enjoying the beef.
AI music is now on Artlist. Create studio-quality, commercial-ready songs for every video production. Generate songs from a simple text prompt and even add a reference image to truly guide your vision. Easily set the genre, mood, and video theme to make the music you want every time. To get AI music and all the leading AI tools, go to Artlist and start creating without limits.
I don't either. 1 second applause. Open floor.
It's like I said before, it's a situation of manipulating the scenario to where you have so many fans that if you say enough of the lies enough, and those millions of people pull up and they say, yes, that's our guy, he would never do that, based on the persona he's curated. I don't know him behind the scenes. Shout out to Stat. But I'm just saying what I've seen as a person who takes in the music, there's a persona that he's created that he's been trying to like uplift through these explanations. Like, I'm the nice guy. I'm J. Cole. I'm essentially the Mr. Nobody, at the same time Mr. Everyman. I meant no harm. But it's like, bro, you can have your friends on the block and your friend want to cut ass, but he don't want to put a name on it. At a certain point in the night, yo, you making fun of me, And there's a lot of bars that he has like that where he says something and it sure sounds like he's talking to Kendrick, but then when you ask him about it, oh no, I didn't mean it that way. That's not what it is. Even the line on The Secret Recipe where he's
Okay, so let's go on and see what unpackage what Jarv is saying. Because Jarv, he's an interesting personality to me, right? Let's get out the way. He's saying that J. Cole, for all the subs and stuff that he did, that every time that he's approached to it in an interview or by somebody or somebody who happens to be a friend of a friend or just out in general, that he's asked about his lyrics, he never wants it to be taken a certain type of way. That per J. Cole, the typical J. Cole response would see something like, "Oh, I didn't mean to take it that way." He never meant it that way, and neither really should you. It's up to your interpretation. What does he look like given an interpretation beyond what he's trying to say? Like what does he look like? He's a rapper. A rapper. Why would he trust you with information that you can then Jarv manipulate to say something else to where now you're taking this word out of context? Or because this is what's frustrating me about this type of response. Jarv, TGA. People take other people's words out of context all the time. It is not nothing new. It is not nothing especially new in the world of hip hop. Rappers say, especially lyricists, there's always a wordplay. There's always double entendres. There's always words that can have double meanings that endorse that, okay, they have to literally leave on wax. If it's competitive, then it can just be that. Even if you do not agree, even if the artist doesn't explicitly have to say it. So this tells me that because Jar feels like J. Cole never wants to really address Kendrick. Oh, all the million, no, all the 3 dozen subs that he's thrown out in his entire career over fake activist, you know, fake radical, fake deep. It's especially stated to be Kendrick, even if they're subs, even if he never drops a name. So what does it look like when somebody like a Jar, somebody who's who needs the next scoop, somebody that wants to have that answer and give it to the broader media, weaponizes own words, J. Cole's own words, against what he is saying. in a rap battle, or there comes a point in the time to where okay, Jar, Jar specifically has a tendency, and I'm going to use this a lot. I'm sorry. He has a tendency to again be as hyperbolic in a sense when it comes to his takes. When I say this in the sense that Jarv really loves there to be, as much unapologetic energy behind people being, standing on their business and being about their business, shoot, I would even say being as manly and masculine and as, you know, honest as possible, etc., etc. In order to for somebody like Jar to believe in them, I nah. The reason I'm going to say this is because of the fact that I do respect Jar, and again, he's had this conversation more than I'm gonna say like he's had this conversation more than a dozen times, even on the rap roundtable. Every time there's been something about J. Cole in the past almost year and a half, I would almost say that every J. Cole slander that he uses is J. Cole, manipulating. J. Cole always getting, always having his cake and eating it, type shit. But when we look at, but if you look outside of the context of what he's trying to say, right, that can be almost applied to every rapper, unless he wants, unless there's a plan for them to actually beef, unless they visibly say that they're disdain and resentment based on another rapper, you know. But it's none of his business. It's rap. It's rap. WWE. I mean, you they're really trying to make rap be beyond just a performance here. And what a person to bring on this panel like Jar, who's really going to give the New York perspective about it. So of course you already have the stance of him of J Cole, you know, being the wet tissue of rappers, being people being being somebody who ain't about nothing really, because he has a constant history of gaslighting, manipulating, and being performative, you know trying you know habitual backstepper, you know even to us in a colonizer. This is what my interpretation of what Jarv is going to say coming up later, because of the fact that even when it comes to Jarv, you are going to see this happening a lot. But I think the question is, okay, if you don't see a problem with what he's saying, then he must agree. I don't. But let's take it in another step. Because how Jar's perspective is, okay, if you don't confirm my lyrics, well, if the rapper doesn't confirmed that they're engaging in this lyrical warfare. If it, if you don't stand on business, behind fake lyrics, fake a game that is literally for better or worse can be interpreted from any narrative, from any rapper, from any image, be painted and curated and orchestrated all sorts of different ways into a narrative that's beyond your own. Then what does it look like if J. Cole gave somebody like Jar TGA that privilege? I'm just saying, I wouldn't trust Jar for the damn thing.
Talking about everybody steppers or studio steppers or whatever the case may be. If you got a situation where a person decides that, yo, this week I'm gonna post all my outfits, 5 days of outfits. Outfits are my thing. And then your friend 3 weeks later, those are sub posts out there, yo, 5 weeks of whack outfits. And then you hit him, yo, you was talking about me. No. Somebody else had 5 days of whack outfits. You was talking to me, bro. And he has so many bars like that where it's like, you must really think we're stupid. You've been throwing darts at Kendrick, heavy darts. It's not even like little pow-pows. Like, it's heavy darts where it doesn't even take much like manipulation or sifting through to understand that these are the bars and he's talking to Kenny. So how can he act surprised?
Okay, another thing, right? He does a job of, putting words in other people's mouth, or at least putting the idea that these other people had, specifically when it comes to rappers that he doesn't like, or people that he thinks is insulting his intelligence, that something like somebody like a J. Cole, for instance, irony, um, that if a person doesn't give him the answer he feels that he wants, for instance, if he doesn't, if, for instance, if let's say you, I have, I got a new pair of sneakers, you know, and look at my new sneakers, everybody, these are my best pair of sneakers, and they decided not to wear them one day because for one reason or another, you know, they got basketball practice. So of course I'm not wearing my nicest sneakers to basketball practice. Come back and post back on their new sneakers, but remember um, that those new sneakers. If somebody asks you, "Hey, are these new sneakers?" Several months down the line, and said, "Well, I mean, yeah, they are." That's still that's still new to him. Or let's take it another way, right? Let's keep using the sneaker analogy. Somebody buys a new pair of sneakers that they brand them almost every day of the week. And for one reason or another, let's say they get another pair of backup new shoes they use just for to work and stuff like that. They come home 6 months down the line, they get called out for not having the latest pair of sneakers or not having the best pair of sneakers, and they say, "Hmm, that's fine. These sneakers that I'm wearing, they're still the best." Does it deny the fact that that person still feels the way that they feel about the new pair of sneakers they have, quote unquote, on new pair? Does it change the fact that these are still his favorite sneakers, even though they're not the best or the brand or the newest sneakers? You know, Sneakers might have creases in them. You might get scuff marks. A number of things could happen with sneakers. But what you got to realize is a lot of people that sneakerhead especially, who actually wear nice pair of sneakers and keep them in condition, are still going to share some same pair of sneakers, no matter how old they are. Now, to sentiments and things that may change over depending on, because sneakerheads don't just love one pair of sneakers. Of course, he's going to always opt for another pair of sneakers instead, but that's their choice. It's not your choice to tell them that to really try, believe in what you say about your sneakers because it's his sneakers. He's the one that wears them every day. He's the one that creates his outfits around those same pairs of sneakers. So what does it look like if somebody wears again a pair of sneakers that they had throughout the years and still treats them like they're brand new? I'm just saying. He's talking about clothes. I'm talking about sneakers. And just keep it a fact, or you got to, just keep it a buck. Many different pairs of sneakers look nice on the right day. You can wear them like they're brand new. They might not be brand new to everybody else, but you're gonna wear them like they're brand new. And that's part of what I think this conversation, at least when it comes to jar, is that's the analogy I'm going to use because sneakers always, if you're sneaker, you're going to take care of your shit. Whether you have a delusion about sneakers, whether you believe that these sneakers are, you know, are are in terrible condition, or you just happen to like the these pair of sneakers, and despite the brand new sneakers you got in your collection, you don't, you know, and you decide not to wear them because you're saving them for the right occasion, even though you're trying to, not let anybody know that that you haven't worn these yet. That's his choice. The same logic behind, Cole still having his Honda Civic and not riding that, that what is that, the BMW or um yeah, it had to be a BMW or at least a GM Midsize sedan. It's still his choice. So you can't be mad when he decides to every once in a while ride out his newer whip and option of his older whip. And you know the reason why? Gas prices, nigga. Duh.
When Kendrick comes outside and barks on him. And he, again, Kenny still gave him grace because he ain't punching him the way he punched on Drake. Stop playing with people. And that's the whole thing that why I'm getting annoyed with Cole is like you're really playing with people and you're using your fan base, in my opinion, using Drake as a shield as well, to where you could get all of this BS off and it's safe. And I don't like that because it's offensive now.
What's gonna happen? What he don't want to happen is gonna happen if Drake start getting candid about conversations that they've had. So that's gonna be a problem. So I don't know if he's thinking about that because Drake. I don't know a lot about Drake. I know some of his colleagues, but I do know from what I do know, he's not happy about how Cole, the position at which Cole took with that. It was like, what the fuck is you doing, dog? Like, are you serious? Like, what? That because it kind of like weakened Drake in the process and what he was doing. You see what I'm saying? Because it really gave Kendrick this like, okay, like, oh yeah, damn. And people start, oh, he is the boogeyman. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, Cole running. So we supposed to just be standing up. We just did a song saying we bigger than the Super Bowl. What are you talking about? But because I do have some hearsay knowledge of what was going on, I understand his position. Just so y'all, what it is, it's like, yo, he went.
Habitual line stepper. That's what I was trying to get to earlier. Habitual line stepper. Remember that term. Now, also, what's that is saying? Okay, but this is, and I'm gonna sound like a broken record at this point. The fact that Drake took it as personally as he did, and never at one point decided to address Cole directly about it, had a conversation. Nothing. Throughout the entire battle, throughout the duration of 20 of the latter year and 2026. I don't know what conversations they would have had, but as far as the internet knows, no conversations were had between Aubrey Graham and Jermaine Cole. So already you you have people like Stat trying to fill in the blanks, right? Trying to allude and make inferences to where the most reason or the most rationally minded person could deduce that Drake and J. Cole took it too personal. That because of the fact that if they hadn't responded the way that they did, then none of this, that hip hop wasn't there. Like, that like they weren't doing nothing in the spirit of hip hop. And I'll give it to Drake. I still like Family Matters. And really, if it were in a different, I would say a different way or done in a form of fashion that was was more effective, tailor made sense. Sorry, not sorry. Yes, it was offensive, but it got Kendrick outside. It fulfilled its purpose. Because what we're looking at right now is people getting mad at J. Cole's perspective and him playing in their faces, him trying to get away with stuff, him having revisionist history, you know, and that's another freaking terrible term that's been coming up a lot. Revisionist history, like they're all suddenly gonna, you know, have you stand in front of the camera and flash a light in front of your eye and make you forget the memories. That's not how that works. So I wonder how they're going to even address the revisionist history because the fact that J. Cole ain't gonna make you forget nothing. JC ain't gonna make you forget nothing. So what if they have a different stance than you when it comes to how they want to interpret a rap battle or a rap beef, or say that they weren't willing to condone certain things done in a battle, or they weren't willing to even say that beyond that harm had already been done. This was really a more so a beef more than it was a battle. Even if it was hyperbolic. So already we have somebody like Stat, again, like I'm saying, who wants to create like a case of appeal for Drake, something that he even want Drake to do on the behalf in order to make sure that J. Cole doesn't get away with what he's getting away with. I mean, I can't blame him if that's his intention, because again, Drake, is Drake the victim here now? Is Aubrey Graham Jermaine Cole's victim? Because if that's what we're doing, I can already tell you, you can get the heck out of here with that.
I'm ready to deal with the shit that Drake is dealing with. He wasn't ready to deal with that because he didn't want to have that shit. He didn't want to have that stain on his name, and he can't come out in these interviews and say what it really is, because then that was the whole point why he pulled the shit down in the first place, besides it not being fresh. So, I know y'all like, nigga, tell us what it is. It's not my place to be talking about this man's business.
Tell it.
Now, wait. You see all their responses? Probably not L's. But you see all their responses right now. Perfect opportunity for me to pause that. Perfect opportunity for me to pause that. Thank you. Thank you. And this isn't me just, just hating. But I just gotta call it for what it is. Because you heard Justin Hunt saying, say it. Because, well, shoot, excuse me, not Justin Hunt, but I'm talking about freaking Jarve. Jarve or probably freaking Charles Brown over there. But still, that already let you know what, again, even playing with that, they, any information is good information because you can still use that in order to reaffirm your stance of what you already do not like about J. Cole. I mean, what are we doing? So many people want to be freaking truth seekers, truth speakers, and all this BS, but no, it is not. And it's because everything I'm saying about J. Cole is going to mostly apply for every other rapper. Every other rapper. Because, shoot, I give him enough grace. But we're not going to just sit here and pretend like, okay, J. Cole is the great pretender of rap. He's the Elvis Presley of rap. You know, he pretty much is this, like he has nothing going for him, bro, at this point. And I'm just keeping honest. That's the fact that he wasn't willing to perform in front of 52,000 Jarve, 52,000 Sincere Beats, 52,000 Basito, 52,000 Dini, of his fans, and Dreamville Fest, in a diss battle with Kendrick Lamar and Aubrey Graham is why you have made this your own your own political stance. You have taken this beyond, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna say this, you have taken this beyond hip hop, beyond rap. Regardless of what you wanted to happen, guess what? Tough luck. It didn't. What you gonna do about it? Oh, but I guess we're already here. Okay. That's all y'all can do then.
Irony is he ended up in the spot that he was trying to avoid anyway. So you might as well go down with the ship.
Not if he got some real dirt. If he got some real crazy dirt, and that crazy dirt ain't out, but it's just like, oh, you look like a hoe. It's like, yeah, but y'all don't know about A, B, and C.
Bingo.
I get
Right,
I get
that's
that.
exactly what it is.
I also think it's interesting that people say that he's presenting himself like he's a good guy. I really don't hear that. I hear him saying, yo, I was a bitch ass nigga. I was tripping.
Go, go, go. The client's waiting.
Wait, this is last year's deck.
Oops. So many files to make sense of. My brain's just gonna explode.
Enough with the circus. Introducing Zoho Work Drive. Team folders keep your files where they belong. So when your team needs the right file, they'll never get it wrong. Whoa, whoa, hold that fire. Zia Hubs can find all the answers you desire. Zoho Work Drive, the smarter solution in cloud collaboration.
From stank to sneezes, your air remembers. Unlike air fresheners, Lysol Air Sanitizer eliminates odors by killing 99.9% of viruses and bacteria.
And it seemed like nobody hear that. So I guess, I don't know. Maybe I'm...
He does it well, though.
Air filters. Because he's saying I'm a good guy, but your filters is filtering out. This is a bitch-ass nigga. That's what you hearing.
No, he's saying out loud in English. I felt pressured, like, damn, I can't come out with the album unless I respond. all of these people is saying that, oh, this nigga is cooking me. I gotta diss back. I felt pressured. And I didn't even really want to diss the nigga like that. I just felt peer pressure, so I responded. That don't sound like I'm a bitch ass nigga to y'all?
You know what I think about Cole? I feel like when I watched that in the desk interview, I looked at a person that has a lot of this. He's very indecisive. And I think that he has like almost a mentality, I'm just going to be honest, of like an 8th grader. And he's easily swayed. It seems like when I was watching him, listening to him, because he got excited about sleeping in his parents' bedroom. And it's just silly stuff. Like if you listen to him talk, it's like the most mundane shit excites him. And he's like, yo, I got to spend a weekend in my Honda Civic with my boys, like that I used to chill with. Like it's like the most like child.
Okay. I'm glad we got back to Charles Brown because, again, he, in a lot of sense, I'm gonna say it like this. He is if DJ Academic had not met Joe Budden or graduated from college, right? If an early, I guess, what you consider an early adolescent DJ Academic had realized his potential before going to, you know, before getting out of college and doing the whole radio thing, right? If DJ Academics had, that was truly about, hip hop and was truly about advancing the culture or quote unquote culture, and was about, taking his podcast and everything serious and stuff like that outside of Aubrey Graham, then you get Mr. Charles Brown. Without the success of again, Joe Budden, without, being led to, you know, having a lot of the accolades that he does now. You get a fully realized DG Academics in the form of Charles Brown. I'm just giving it what it is. I'm just saying what it is. Because the way he even forms his comment, specifically when it comes about J. Cole, I've come to realize this guy has a real nasty habit of, again, being almost not as being as cognitively dissonant, being as unreasonably obtuse, being as cherry picking how he selectively likes to spend his time and go at this specific angle. The fact that somebody like you, Charles Brown, would have a problem and find a, a plethora of issues with somebody like J. Cole having a natural experience, having just his experience, just a small experience, regardless if he's really hyper and really happy about it, or just casually talking about it like he was. Let's not, let's not, be, let's not do that, because a lot of what Charles is saying, or is going to be attempting to say, what he hasn't said already, is J. Cole is not allowed to, to honestly express how he feels when it comes to his childhood, basically. I mean, can a man live for the basic stuff? It's not him trying to flex on you, man. He's not touching your masculinity. But I think Charles really thought, you know, as a man, that was where he was going. That because J Cole isn't grown up enough for you, or J Cole is a whiny little eighth grader, like he hasn't reached puberty before. That he still acts like he's a virgin. That he still acts like he ain't got no driver's license. Maybe acts like what he ain't graduated no high school before. And mind you, this is the same guy who's a valedictorian with a communications degree. Mind you, but that's not the point I want to make because of the fact that okay, you still have educated fools out here, right? What Charles is attempting to do, because again, Charles is really the type of guy, again, who likes is the pot calling the kettle black, making overreaching arguments, making these very selective, silly, you know, contradicting, almost logically flawed arguments, within to pick out the littlest things and manifest them into forms of into full talking points. I I I don't know how he can call himself a podcaster, a content creator, or anything of the sort of his age, of somebody that is really trying to be the stand bearer of anything for hip hop, doing what he does and on this panel. I'm sorry. The the part that J. Cole was even mentioning that he had because if you look back on the clip for that Nadeska interview, he specifically said that he came home to get re-inspired when he was making the Fall Off album. Like he had to travel back home, because I mean, the home is his, right? It's his parents. So of course if I own a property, it's not his right to go to the property. It's not his right to, decide what he's going to do with the property. He's just giving her some background, bro. It didn't say, you have to like the story. And I watched you, Charles Brown, bitch and moan over J. Cole should not be a rapper. Yeah, okay. But look at how you reacted. I'll be glad. I'll be glad if you give me this much attention, over making you making your masculinity feel attacked for somebody not performing the way you want them to be as a rapper. Because I wonder how you're gonna spend this. I truly wonder, but hey, don't mind me.
All this stuff moves him, and I think he's still, even though he's a grown man, and what is he, 41? I think J. Cole mentality is under that because he moves. If you listen to him talk, it's like he moves on what he thinks hip hop wants him to do. You know what I mean? So I think he dissed Kendrick because he feels hip hop wanted him to diss him.
Yes.
So it's like, I got to do what hip hoppers do. I think he does what he thinks rappers are supposed to do. And then he has the main character syndrome where he always has a reason. It's an excuse. He's very manipulative because you're looking at him like this big ass 15-year-old. So you soften up. you know how people can disengage you.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you heard what Charles Brown just said, right? J. Cole acts like he. Well, excuse me. Now, let me give him some. Let me clarify. What are you saying? J. Cole acts like he's not supposed. Let me see. It sounds ridiculous. J. Cole is a hip hop artist, right? Hip hop artists typically engage with the culture in some way, shape, or form. It might be their own way, it might be another way, whatever their prerogative is, right? What J. Cole attempts to do for himself as part of hip hop culture, he is supposed to be a rapper. So the fact that Charles Brown was saying something dumb as saying, J. Cole acts like he is supposed to do what hip hop culture wants him to do, right? As if J. Cole isn't his own independent man. As if you think a lot of his accolades come from people feeling sorry for him. In your words, Charles Brown, a 15-year-old man child, right? Man child, I'm going to use that. Man child. A 15-year-old man child. That doesn't have a clue how to be a rapper. The audacity of you, the same rapper who dropped Peanut Butter Tims, right? Let's go there. The same rapper who drops Peanut Butter Tims, who dropped tracks like Cry. The same guy who's countless times, based off his content, is always saying, I'm just keeping it 100% honest. Sounds like a load of bullshit to me. And I don't know where your head is in this space. I don't know how you even see yourself as a man. Really? I don't see how you see yourself as a black man, I guess, in the space that you are. I get it. It's content. You get clicks and views. You're feeling yourself right now. You're feeling emboldened. You are feeling inspired. Because of the fact that Justin Hunt, the company man, has you on his panel for that exact take, those incendiary hot takes. Is what makes you want to perform. But I guess J. Cole is the only one that gets called out for being performative, right? Because right now you are tap dancing.
I think when he comes into these rooms and these interviews, he can disengage you. He has this what's the chip tooth smile or whatever you call it, and I think he's very like he disarms people. And so they lean in and they're like, okay, tell me more. Like Nadeska, she leaned in. I just saw Carmelo Anthony. He leaned in. And Cole, some people can use that. They know that you're disarmed. So he's talking for you and answering your questions before you can answer them. He has the excuses ready. It feels like he already knows what you're thinking. Like he broke down the thing with LeBron James having the record. I don't know if y'all saw that.
Yeah.
Where he explained that record was for me, da da da. So it's like he knows what you want to hear.
Yeah, I'm having fun right now, right? So what we're going to do next is break down this part. Charles Brown, you're not saying that you took a whole clip out of context, are you? You are not saying that the whole reason, believe it or not, the whole reason behind J. Cole giving LeBron James a celebrity that his own son looked up to, a vinyl record that LeBron James, another full-grown adult, because I'm watching you, Charles. I'm watching you, Charles. Another grown man. A vinyl record in return, a signed vinyl record, had his own game as appreciation for letting his son see him. What the fuck is the problem, bro? What's the problem? What is the problem? Because at this point, right, I wonder what makes you say that J. Cole is not supposed to do something like that for his own sons. I hope you're not a father. I sincerely hope you're not even trying to attempt to, disparage J. Cole as a father. I sincerely hope you don't got an issue with J. Cole and his family. Because regardless, guess what? You didn't get the J. Cole hoodie. You didn't get any piece of J. Cole merchandise, honestly, unless you ordered at a time. You didn't, for every J. Cole clip you saw, and for every interview that he's done, for better or worse, you've already made up your decision to take it beyond him as a rapper. Charles Brown, right now, you just a clown. Let's continue.
And he's going to tell it to you just how you want to hear it. You won't even have to ask. You won't need a follow-up because even your follow-up will sound like redundant because he just answered it. So it's like he can manipulate the whole conversation, and he's been doing that with us for a long time. And I know I went years like forgiving him for the most ridiculous and egregious shit. It's like, yo, like we give this guy so much bail, it's crazy. People are still in my comments daily. Like, Charles, you're just like a Neanderthal. You don't get it. This guy it's like he's this kind of monk with the walking stick, walking the country on some kung fu, right? And it's like we let him do these things. Like most hip hoppers won't get away with this. But for some reason, I think the first time he was even that hip hop rejected him was 7 Minute Drill. And his knee-jerk reaction was to apologize and delete it.
Ooh, bullshit. I'm sorry. Bullcrap. And I'm glad I pulled up Professor Sky. He's another one I have I wouldn't say a problem with. I mean, I get it, but it's still grifting to me. The big three, the real, the fake, and the fake real, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to go look at his channel if you haven't already. He does these wonderful comparisons between rap albums and rappers on the rap albums and historical French historical figures, pretty much. You know, uh, I think last year he did one based off Ray Vaughn's The Good, the Bad, and the Dollar Menu, comparing Ray Vaughn's album, or at least Ray Vaughn on the album, to an Italian realist, as you put it. But now coming full circle, a lot of it is a lot of Eurocentric, a lot of serious comparisons. Like when it comes to him commodifying basically you know black trauma and black experience and a lot of um, internal black struggles as something to be cherished, admired, and posed as works of art for his own pleasure, for his students and his faculty and staff and his colleagues at the college he works with, and for the greater internet, for people who wants to see the artsy sides of how he looks like, of how he appreciates his hip hop. But I'm gonna probably give him another another life, another video to be determined. Because right now, what Charles is attempting to do, right, is saying that J. Cole has such vast influence. He must be the greatest pretender. He must be the greatest performer. Get this much power off to make old Charles Brown believe that he is, you know, basically Jesus, the half black Messiah, a part of the Holy Trinity. Yeah. That's how you know somebody like J. Cole, you know, going mask off or stripping down his layers or deciding, to not be to not perform like he had been, to actually show growth and maturity in the same way that is not in Kendrick Lamar, was a problem for somebody like Charles Brown because historically, Charles Brown probably has not ever in his life, and this is me speculating from what I've seen based on this content, based on how he's talking about J. Cole, has never in his life physically breathing, living in front of him, saw a real man in his life come to any maturity. I'm sorry. It reeks of hegemon of it reeks and lacks of masculinity. I'll also say that. A specific kind of masculinity that Charles Brown, you would think that he would be, he would recognize this, that he would realize this and everything like that. even beyond, J. Cole have, people pleasing, have this tendency to, you know, to to fall into his character flaw, his personality flaw, and using that trait to make it an entire, an entire flaw, like an entire, like Achilles heel, an entire way of attacking J. Cole, as if this, as if it's his job to remind people, oh no, don't don't fall for the trap, don't believe the hype. J. Cole's just, he's performative. He's just gonna get, he's trying to get one on you. He's the real villain. Don't be fooled. Someone like Charles Brown has serious issues that he wishes that he probably projects into J. Cole. I mean, at this point, yeah. I mean, what? Because what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Honestly.
Right? It wasn't this moment of clarity, and people are like, "Yo, he grew." Like he kind of understood what. No, it's that the hip hop rejected that song. Literally, I don't know if he's ever been rejected like that. Hip hop rejected that.
Also, I'll say this: 7 Minute Drill, for sure as hell not, was not the first time J. Cole has been rejected. Did J. Cole? So, for those who are reading or watching and whatnot, J. Cole didn't feel a way about his debut album. Hip hop rejected the hell out of it. It did not go well for him, for J. Cole, when he landed his debut. Another time was when, J. Cole dropped what? Everybody Dies. And False Prophets. Following up to his album KOD. And even before Your Eyes Only. Again, everybody likes to bring up the no name situation. They, so so you're telling me at a period in time that J. Cole wasn't on the was you know that was just being J. Cole, the rapper, throughout his rap career. If it wasn't in front of 52,000 folks, if it wasn't in 4K for the entire internet to see, those moments to where at any time he can go, anytime any reasonable person in today's internet can go back in history and view those same things that happened back then. That hip hop had not felt a way about that then. Again, I'm calling cap because there's no way. There is no way you're telling me that J. Cole the rapper has not ever once had a period of maturity in his rap career. No, there's no way you're doing that. And we're I can tell you already, I'm gonna have fun doing these reactions, doing these lives. Cause I'm not about to do what the whole 5 5 40 43 37. No, but I'll tell you what, there's no way in hell somebody like Charles Brown, who if you would have done his doing the basic amount of decent research on J. Cole outside of the 2024 beef before it happened, before it did interviews, before the fall off dropped, before he decided to be the big old hip hop content creator he is today, would ever say that. If you reviewed the history of J. Cole, specifically about the instances between each response and everything that he's been throughout his career. Because if you look at it in the retrospective that you have right now, there's no way that you wouldn't see anything as performative. If you already believe a lie, why would you want to see the truth?
That song, and he deleted it, and here we are. And now we're doing interviews, and he's not even letting the interviewers talk.
What I say? What I say? What I say? What did I say?
So it's like he's very good at getting in front of the narrative and making things sound really good. It's like a guy that can really talk to you, and you know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
Charles Brown. You don't think rappers go through media training, PR training? You don't you don't think somebody with a communications major degree would at least be somewhat good at that, bare minimum? Dog, fuck out of here.
I think. Oh, go ahead, Jess. Go ahead.
No, you got to go ahead.
I think you guys on this panel, everybody on here, you guys have a magnificent way and to know how to speak and to speak your opinions where it's not offensive and it doesn't hurt someone's feelings, especially somebody like such as himself. But I want y'all to know that artists generally are the most sensitive people on planet Earth. And the most celebrated artists are the more sensitive they are, because they get so much love that they have not built up the callus to accept the criticism.
You see, even that's in bad taste for me. And I'm gonna be fair. That's a half truth to me. Because the fact that we have somebody like a Kendrick Lamar, any artist that's considered a B-list celebrity that is a rapper, anybody that goes through the amount of exposure as a top lyricist or a top rapper or anybody that has certain vulnerabilities that come to the rap game, stuff like that. That's the burden that they carry, right? So him going as far as saying that the most celebrated rappers are usually the most sensitive, you're gonna have to be more specific To what degree? Because everybody has their inherent flaws. Everybody has their their idi- their idiosyncrasy. To see, it's not supposed to be anything to really be to celebrate about. But I'm wondering why he's even attempting to even bring that up. And this is stat quo. I've never been really favorable because of the fact that stat quo has um really said some things about certain artists and everything that that aren't commercially viable or that aren't quote unquote successful in in the music industry the way that he wants to be successful as far as a hit maker and stuff like that. So of course you would understand why someone like Stat Quo uh, adores Drake, empathizes heavily with Drake. And the fact that he's even went as far as saying that the most celebrated rapper, J. Cole, is not the most celebrated rapper. I'm sorry. Even before. And this is part of the Kendrick stand coming out of me. This is part of this is part of the Kendrick fan. That's why Kendrick took the. I mean, are we just disconnected? Because there's no way they can say that a J Cole is supposed to be this character, right? This this imperfect, flawless, this 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 clean golden boy rapper, this trophy rapper, this rapper that that cannot do any real wrong, and say that he's not allowed to have a conscience, basically. When I say conscious, I mean have a real tangible thought that connects to to how he feels about this environment, how he perceives people look at him, how he sees people in the world, how he engages in communities, how he speaks on communities, how he engages with with his external flaws, how he engages with stress and everything else. So already, Stat Quo is already going to try to say, okay, this is nothing special. Already. So already he's already established that that by saying this he can place nuance there. He can add filler in that conversation. He can pretty much add a buffer as to account for the retorts that somebody that may be watching the Culture United may see and then look back at it and say, hold on now, hold on. We've added nuance. We've accounted for this, even though that's not what that really is. But we made sure to cover our behinds. You talking about manipulation? There's a trick right there.
So the way you all talk, how you're able to say your express your displeasure without saying this nigga's ass, you know what I'm saying, like, and disrespect him. Generally, the public doesn't know how to do that. So when they speak about him, that shit keep him up at night. Like it make him feel away. So like you just said, Charles, like this motherfucker, he did that and ran to the hills immediately. Like it was
the beach.
To the beach. Oh, excuse me, to the beach. He ran to the beach. But you know, I just want to say this because my partner is like one of his best friends. I can't go too hard. You're gonna call me. So I rock Cole. I rock with you, baby. But you know, like I say all the time, Justin, we all know how to fall. We all walk, but we fall sometimes. And he
even
falls,
you,
even me.
Too soon.
Chevy trucks are as dependable as the Chevy people who drive them. They don't need permission to get going.
Too soon. Too soon. Too soon.
I think it's just that, you know, I guess for me, I don't want to speak for the panel. You know, once he kind of transitioned from his early career positioning as the college guy, and there was a lot of people I could say in my personal life that I came across who weren't necessarily rap fans, but they were J. Cole fans, right? Then he got into his best rapper bag, and he's cooking. He's talking a certain type of language that we like, and he was leaning into it. So it's difficult for me to now hear this. It's a lot of sucker activity that I'm hearing from him. I got to call it what it is. When you position yourself as the best guy and you actually performing it, so it's like, what was all of that fake? Did you ever really believe you were the best, or were you just writing about?
Now, I would say this is a topic I've been waiting to get into. Something that was said, I think, earlier this year. If you want context, I'll say go check out the Rap Roundtable. I believe it was. I think they're live. I don't think there was any guest host, but correct me if I'm wrong. It was before the birthday Blizzard mixtape, right? And I believe this live had featured that, and I think it was Sincere Beats. Follow him on IG, Twitter, and I guess YouTube if he has a separate channel. But pretty much around the Rap Roundtable, ladies and gentlemen. The aesthetics of battle rapping is what Jarvis is going to attempt to explain here. Because I saw this conversation. I vividly remember this conversation coming from Sincere Beats and Jarv and him going back and forth between us. That being a major point of contempt against J. Cole. Because of the fact that J. Cole has so many competitive bars, so many braggadocio bars saying that he is the best rapper. That bars that any normal rapper, if he were not J. Cole, and if he had not signed to Jay-Z, Rock Nation, if he were any other rapper signed with any other label, and you know had not gotten the press and whatnot, this wouldn't be an issue, right? But because of the fact, and I'm sorry, I'm going to be a little biased here, but I'm going to invite this. I'm going to make this challenge. And this is going to be my hot take. Because J. Cole has done the best job throughout his career consistently with the braggadocio bars, and was able to have the stance he has when it came to competitively rapping on wax, on tracks between the big three rappers, to include himself. That comment since 2024, April, 2024 in Dreamville Fest. 52,000 fans. Right, Jarv? Right, Jarv? Then he says, nah, you know what? I'm going to take it like a man. I ain't gonna front. You know, I hope he doesn't feel that way. I was just trying to get a 7-minute drill off. It felt, I didn't feel authentic about it. I'm sorry, y'all. Cool. All right. I'm at peace. Let me go. Because of the fact that it blew their mind, that it blew the whole rap roundtable's mind. And not just the rap roundtable, it blew the Leader Villain's mind, Charles Brown's mind, pretty much the majority of hip hop's minds. Even smaller channels and even channels that had, you know, that had no backing and, channels that were, whole platforms. Because he betrayed the aesthetics, or because he played with the aesthetics. What does aesthetics means? It means so from my interpretation, the aesthetics, meaning the fashion, the collective design, the form, the essentially the art, the aesthetics, the beauty, the science of battle rapping. Because he somehow betrayed the aesthetics of battle rapping, and this is something that if you look back on that specific episode on the Rap Roundtable, you're going to hear that, guaranteed. Look back in their look back in their timestamps specifically. Since he's done that, he can no longer, based on what Jarvis about to attempt to say, he can no longer have any bars that are braggadocio, any ding that can be made out to be a sub. Because if he does, there's always going to be question. Battle. Why didn't he battle? Why didn't he battle anybody? Why didn't he spawn to Joey? Why did he spawn to Kendrick? Why didn't he say Drake's name? Why did he not respond to Freddie Gibbs? Why did he not respond to all the haters? Why don't you call out their names? Why don't you give us some more context? Why don't you address everything we expected from you before? If you just do that, J. Cole, all is forgiven bullshit. All is forgiven. Yeah, I got a big question mark above my head right now. Because there is no way.
Because you was getting a response from a certain audience that was kind of rejecting you at first. Now that audience has embraced you, in some cases calling you the best guy. You took a trip to the underground. You killed Benny on that record. Even more adulation. Now we're here. You're in the ring with the one guy they've been calling the boogeyman for 10, 15 years? You got in the ring and walked out the ring? I'm struggling to deal with that. And then these explanations is like, bro, you told me you was the best.
See? Now Jarvis is obsessed with this. He has more of an unnatural obsession with J. Cole ever having any bars. despite what he did with John P's Caddy. Shoot, I'll even put Royce the 5'9", Boblo Bones. Shoot, I'll even put who else? Pie, Daylight, and Absol. And I can go on, really. But those are just a few examples, just to help you gain the idea of where I'm going here. Because what now he is going to be attempting to say, well, blah blah blah, I'm Big Mac for you, not just just going to battle, just going to war. It's just a rap battle. You should have been a man. You you should have just kept a friend, like you should just kept a competitive. Joey did it. Who else? Who else? The OG's done it, right? Yeah, okay.
You perform like you were the best. You
Hey,
arguably
Job.
won some chips. Where we at now, bro? Who are you? Is my question.
But think about this though. When has he made seriously dangerous music? When have we ever felt a fear of J. Cole? Right.
I mean, he said he gonna put an M on your head like Luigi brother now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We cannot be serious right now. We cannot be. I cannot take Justin Hunt serious. Sometimes when he does that, when he interjects with those little remarks that he does, only because of the fact that I will admit Justin Hunt is he has his moments, right? That you want to take him serious, but if you're a real hip hop head like me or anybody else, and you see somebody, quotes a weak ass bar, I'm sorry, just a simple, a braggadocio bar. It says, well, and it sounds like a real nerd when he does this. Well, he says that I'll put an M on your forehead like a Luigi bar. Are we serious? Are we serious? I'm sorry. I huh? That's why I question the way that Justin Hunt interprets bars and why beyond his panel and some of the hosts that he invites there. When it comes specifically for how he chooses to posture and handle the questioning and as just a journalist personality and the work that he does do specifically in the space, that's why I've kind of grown away from the Culture United as something I would normally watch. Because I mean, I was just an average viewer, I've I I've been there for at least since like mid. I would say even like summer of 2024. And the reason why I don't make an attempt to come into the lives anymore, like I had been, is because of stuff like this, right? Now, regardless of and even before it became about J. Cole, it was a lot of it was kind of also about Drake. A lot of it was also about you know Kendrick Lamar, and a lot of it was his takes mostly about Joey, Joey Badass when you know when that whole thing happened. The rap Royal Rumble, I'll call it. So then where does this leave me, right? One, if we're taking lyrics into their literal context as an expressive action, as something that is supposed to be followed up on, as words that need to be real, that need to be reinstated, everybody, it's a little bit of a revisionist history, right? When a journalist, and specifically podcasters like these, or panel guests like these, say that um, that battle rapping is a necessity, like people have to actually engage in beefs, not you not even necessarily diss battles, but engage in any type of beef that can be interpreted in any way, shape, or form, and have these successful album rollouts and all these grand things going for them in order for them to be the best. I'm sorry, I disagree. Because at a point in time, a lot of my top 10 favorite rappers hardly don't even have a battle record. I'm sorry. The the fact that people would even put Tyler to the creator because he's he has he's a clicky screen record, as they would put. But I don't even remember specifically Kanye West ever doing a back and forth diss battle. The only thing that Kanye West did was outsell 50 Cent on wax. That's the only thing that Kanye West did. And somehow, yes, I'm going to do this, that somehow even Kanye West is more battle tested than a J. Cole. This is what I made my very first video about. The rap cabalism. Boogie till you can't dance no more. Because that's all I'm seeing right now. Against your freaking... I was gonna say something that that was really freaking out of pocket too, but I'm not about to do that because again, these are for better or worse, these are folks that I'm going to have to eventually come to their shows. That I'm going to have to engage with the same energy I had before. So I want to at least keep it, as thorough and honest as possible. I'll say it that way. It may not be professional right now, and will probably be more professional once I go into later. But I've been, I'm like 37 minutes in, and we still got like an hour and like a whole hour and a half left, basically.
You're gonna put your favorite rapper's neck in a noose.
But when he's talking about that, he's talking about being what as an MC. He's not talking about literally grabbing a gun to kill you, right?
But that's what we all talking about.
No.
The rap battles is MC versus MC. K Dot was talking about MCing.
No, but
And
K
Drake
Dot
was too.
K Dot
Until they called his child an illegitimate child.
Charles, hold tight. Let him finish his point. We haven't heard where he's going yet.
K Dot from Compton. And we clown Drake all the time for trying to be hard. I'm saying when we talk about the greatest of all time, generally these guys are talking about drugs, killing people, and that dangerous stuff, right? So if I'm sitting down writing a record, right, and I know I'm not really street, I got to provide some element of danger in my raps to keep, because you know this is what America, we thrive on violence and the danger. So he's throwing that in the rhymes. I'm the illest MC. I'm gonna kill you lyrically. I'm gonna murder you lyrically, and he just wrote it so crazy. And now when it was time to murder and kill someone, he had a difficult time, because in this day and age, like I said, it's not about your rap skills. It's about information. You know what I'm saying? Kendrick did kill him lyrically, but the information is what really took us somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Right. So not to cut you off, Charles, get your point off. I just want to, was saying that.
I was just responding.
I want to play a quick clip real quick. El, you want to say something before we?
I really think it is costuming and assumptions. I think we so used to seeing authentic rappers from us growing up that we're assuming that the people who present it. I think it's a lot of assumptions on our part too. Like you can present yourself this way. It's almost like, you ever seen that Asian person in the park and they be doing like Tai Chi and they be like practicing and doing like the yoga shit, and then like imagine somebody came out and they like really didn't know karate and they just got their ass whooped, and so in your mind you're like, hold on nigga, I thought you was about to bicycle kick and flip around it, and like, no, I got my ass whooped. You assumed that I knew how to do that shit. I was just out there doing yoga and stretching and kicking. I don't actually know how to whoop a nigga ass. You put that assumption on me. And I think that's going on a lot with a lot of these rappers. Like, we assuming, yeah, y'all thought that old ass nigga at the park really was gonna kick all them 6 niggas ass? No, they stomped him out. Some of that is was. Like, it's posturing. And I think
the old guy ain't say he was the best martial artist in the world, though.
Maybe he did. Maybe somebody walked up and was like, man, how he like, man, I've been doing this for 30 years. Yes.
Don't say he's the best.
Right.
One second applause.
Oh. Well, somebody has to say it. Somebody has to say it. Because of the fact that, oh man, I can't even believe this. El's making a great point. It's the fact that because of the older OGs, because of the a part of the old guard, the ancient guard, when it came to to actually dissing and and all that jazz to get in between, I would even say the 80s and 90s specifically, because of that fact was because of hip hop wasn't in I'm gonna say in a lesser, more organized, and a lesser. I'm gonna put it like this: hip hop was in a developmental phase, right? Because I mean, let's be honest. At the time when it came to disc battling, and this is in general, a lot of that shit was literal. Literal. A lot of the problems that people had back down were legit beefs. People actually got hurt over them. A lot of stuff that happened back then, a lot of rappers lost their lives for some, for some words and things that got put out of context due to other people, and a lot of this goes back to where the culture themselves had to learn to put the shit away and just keep it, keep it G, keep it professional on wax. It wasn't always just on wax. The culture at a time and point had to learn and still is learning based on the generation and based on what's available to it. A lot of things that happen on the internet, of course we can't control what the internet does. So speaking on Elle's point, right? She makes a very valid point. That because of the fact that a lot of even before the internet, even before the blog era, and even before we had pretty much before we had the internet, right? A lot of this stuff was outside. A lot of the stuff, if like you couldn't hide behind a screen. If you did cybers, you literally had to go outside. You couldn't come to nobody's studio. You couldn't just show up and do this, that, and the third, and not think that people wouldn't take it away. Because I mean, let's go use the sample that she's using. The fake Tai Chi master, right? Because yes, as somebody that took martial arts back in his adolescence, I do see the point. The fact that a lot of the instructions, everything, you're not expecting to learn a lot of martial arts in order to, make it street legal. You're not adding a street lethal element there. If you really wanted to go into professional self defense, bare minimum, you need to be black belt, and not everybody makes it to that level. And even still, black belts that don't, that's not 100% guaranteed. You'll be lucky. You'll be lucky because there's always an element of unpredictability when it comes to the danger you confront in when it comes to the streets. Not every trained combatant is equipped to deal with large groups and certain weapons, like a gun, for instance. So to say that even with all the training in the world, a lot of it is unless you have experience, unless you really go there and do it for a living. Ironic, I do battle rap for a living, you know, unless you're constantly exposed to that and always are in a state of, uh, you know, a combative state, then of course, you know, iron sharpens iron. You're going to have the experience. You're going to, you're going to fare better. But a lot of that, thank God, has been taken out of the culture from it being violent. At least back in the days, how it used to be. So the fact that we're almost willing to bring that back for the sake of Kendrick and Drake, nah. And you want to say that that's just part of the culture? That's something that Jarv would say. Sorry, Jarv, I'm gonna throw you under the bus, dog. That's something I can see, you know, even a few others would say that are respected space. For just for the mere fact that even even if it's not taken literally, who does take it literally? You can't say that people are not a part of the culture if they do take it literally. Because some of these are our people. Some of these are black people. Some of these are people that been in the game for a long time. Some of these are elder statesmen. People. Some of these are people who we trust to not take it there. Because the fact is that even regardless if this battle never went that far or the contestants were different, there is very little difference between Kendrick and Drake, Jay Z and Nas, LL and Cannabis. I mean, and somehow I think we're being very how to say this word. Somehow I think we're being very um I wouldn't say delusional, but very I wouldn't even say asinine either. But in a better sense of words, I think we're being very disingenuous. I would say that. And I hate using that word in this conversation. Because at the same part, you made a valid point, L. You know, but the fact is that the rest of the panel, including Justin Hunt and especially Charles Brown, I will not let this go. Especially for about somebody like Charles Brown, and I'll even put Jarv under there. This is what they're used to. Stand up or shut up type action. You ain't got nothing to say, then don't say nothing at all. They like, any rapper who can prove their masculinity drew their raps on their bars. They love it for the mere fact because it's not just entertainment for them. It brings them personal joy knowing that they can relive the moment, that they can always say that they were being a part of the culture when it came to that moment, to where consequence free or consequence what, they can always express their condolences when things aren't as violent or when certain things don't happen for them. They can always say, I wish it would have went a better way, or better yet, you you wish things just stayed on wax, right? But that's the type of bullshit I'm talking about. The fact that Charles Brown and Jar could openly, you know, say, for better or worse, say that all bars, there's no bars hold, right? In rap battle. saying that I would even say as far as saying that there are no limits in rap battle. If you want to really, go there, and that under no circumstances they they didn't think in foresight that Aubrey Graham would have sued for somebody that initiated the battle. And then, really, what made it funny was the fact that, honestly, Kendrick made it political. He didn't de-black Drake, but he did make it political. And that's not to take away from Kendrick, but he is really that type of guy to take it there. Because Kendrick is, in my opinion, like it or not, the epitome of a hip hop hotep. He is, at this point, I can't even say a disciple of of hip hop, but because of the fact that he carries away and a lot of the things that he did to now, a lot of it is going to be just, it's going to be literally him living his life, or at least helping people to live the life for him through his raps. Kendrick might not say it, but he knows it. Would I be assuming? Sure. But everybody has then created this political space to where a lot of what Kendrick is a lot of, I wouldn't even say black excellence. It's a little bit more than that. I would even say it's a lot of pseudo black radicalism. Now, if you haven't checked out Little Bill's video about the gospel of hip hop, I recommend you go check that out, especially because of the fact that what I'm saying here is going to make absolute sense to why I do have the perspectives I did now, back in 2025, like I do now. I mean, I'm just keeping honest. But I'm gonna continue this possibly tomorrow. Um, it probably won't be as long, depending. But it's going to be my mission to get through this entire video, just the main discussion. Check back on my other videos if you want any more input. And then we'll close it for now. I'll see you later. I'll rock you.